All right, what's going on, you guys? This your boy Three Stacks in this thing, baby, representing TKOG, and I'm back at it, bro. Like messing with some rogue decks, bro. Like I've really been rebuilding some classics, some cards that I just really liked, and some archetypes that I just always thought were super fun, but they're kind of out of date. So I put a lot of stuff into them. Like these lists are crazy. I like them so much though. Like this deck's really fun. It's UAs with Earth. It's UAs with an Earth slash Light Warrior engine. It basically just has like a Fire Warrior engine, a Earth Warrior engine, and a Light Warrior engine. And it's utilizing one of like the coolest cards ever, Silent Swordsman. Card is super duper nice. It's actually like a decent interruption going first. And then on top of that, the card is crazy going second because like when you apply pressure to boards, you can just crash him, and you can actually bring out level 7, ignoring dun 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 its summoning conditions. So really really dope. Like this deck does so many cool things, and its boards are actually crazy. Its boards are actually pretty gnarly, believe it or not. Like there's a lot that you can end on, and when it comes to breaking boards, this deck does it systematically. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel. Leave a like if you liked the video, leave a dislike if you didn't. When you subscribe, click the notification bell. You will not miss out on anything. None of that's good stuff, bro. So, like, there's so many interactions that this deck has. It's crazy. It's actually crazy. There's so much goo. And this deck does a lot of ridiculous stuff that just comes out of nowhere. And it's just, like, really, really hard to telegraph anything. It's just, like, random chaos that all meshes well synergistically to where all the cards kind of like they have like overlapping synergy where you can draw one part of the engine and see the other part, or you can draw like no engine and draw like the tech cards and see the whole deck. So I think this deck's super sick with it. I like this deck a lot. Before I get to the list, let's start with honorary mentions. Photon Jumper almost made it. So this card, I can't even talk about the craziness that I was doing with this, but this card is actually a target for Cinco. Not Cinco, for Kaiza. So Kaiza basically just like foolishes a Light or Earth Warrior monster from your deck to your grave. So you can also play this inside. This is something I'm going to be experimenting with inside of my Galaxy deck, because I do play Light Warriors that I could tribute to summon him, and then I can use him as a starter to not only dump Photon Jumper to like search one of my spells or traps, but I can use him plus another warrior to go into a nice soul play. Or I can take him and another level 5 like Galaxy Soldier, and I can overlay them into River Stormer, and then I can add Therion Regulus, which is just broken. So then my Captain Sargus can add Lily, and Lily can add the trap, and Regulus can like just be the negate. It's just crazy. There's just a lot, bro. Like there's so much stuff. I'm just full of sauce on these off days that I've been having. Like, bro, I've just been doing nothing but just straight up cooking, bro. Just straight up just researching, theorycrafting, testing, and just finding hidden gems. And I've learned more new cards in these past 3 days than like I've learned in the course of, I want to say, dang near a year and a half. Because most of the time I only researched the deck I was playing, but I didn't go out of my way to like rebuild rogue decks. And that's where it gets really, really fun and really creative, because rogue decks, you have to try way harder. Like, I could just build 40 card cash, and I'm not going to have to try that hard to build the list. I might have to try hard when I play it. I might have to pilot it correctly. I might actually have to be good at the game. But it's not hard to build it. Rogue decks are really hard to build because they just obviously have inherent weaknesses that meta decks don't have. And obviously, they also don't have good matchups all the time. So this deck was built to just be able to do just a bunch of stuff, solve like every problem that I felt the deck would have, while also still being able to put up formidable boards going first. Because most of the time UA was just like literally putting up 2 interrupts, maybe 3 if you open really, really crazy. But that's when you're playing pure UA and you're not using your extra deck. Like you might get a pop or 2 negates, or you might get lucky and get 3 negates, but like, it's not all that, bro. It's really not. It's not, and economically, you're like breaking even most of the time until you start plussing off of the stadiums on your crackback. So it's just not enough. And then going second, it's really nice. Like the deck is super, super crazy if you're playing cards like Tactics and Locker Room and Jersey. Like these cards are insane because like this is just gonna let you just see so much. Like you can see a ridiculous amount of non-engine with this card. So you see like a lot of your going second cards, win condition and time too. But it just wasn't really cutting it. And as fun as pure UA is, it's just never gonna be as fun as this deck is. So let's start with the non-engine or like the going second cards. A lot of these cards are going second cards too, by the way. Like they're all over the place. It's hard to organize it, so I just broke it down in components to like engine requirements for like the non-UA cards, and then down here I have the warrior good stuff like the warrior goo and the cards that just give me more stuff for my combos. So oh yeah, this is supposed to be up here. So I'm playing 3 crossover. You target a face-up monster your opponent controls in a warrior control, and you literally just equip that to your monster. That is really, really insane because this made me want to play a Gear-Free Turbo list. I think Gear-Free is one of the most broken cards ever printed. And when you're going second, this card's so nice. To be able to banish your opponent's monster that you equip to your warrior to summon this bad boy, and then take another monster when he declares an attack, and then use that as a negate, I think it's so gross. So this card has a lot of potential in warrior decks. It's a great going second card. It also has a lot of cool like synergies with, you know, just the way warriors typically work with equips. It's just so good. Like this card is crazy. This is one of my favorite techs. The only hand trap I actually play, see, I actually used to play Puppet Queen, and I was playing where's he at? I was playing 3 blockbackers, and then I was playing a lot more level 7 Earth Warrior monsters, so that when my opponent would add, I would trigger Puppet Queen, and I would actually use Puppet Queen to summon blockbacker from my hand, and that's like literally a busted hand trap, because it's an interruption on my opponent's turn, plus it's 2 level 7s to make a Big Eye into Zeus, or it's 2 warriors to go straight into Isolde, which is just gross. But it was just inconsistent because it has to literally be a Earth Warrior that's a level 7, and even though this can reborn from your grave, which is nasty, and it's when it's summoned, not just by its own effect, it was just too situational. My original list was playing 3 Puppet Queens and 3 of the Gizmecs for some broken turn 1 plays, because like if you open correctly, the Queen could summon out a card like Blockbacker. Just for example, that's like your best case scenario. Blockbacker's crazy. Queen would summon Blockbacker, excuse me, and Blockbacker would just negate your opponent's stuff. However, Gizmek, when you're playing against Cash, would just literally just go for Fenrir, and then you would summon out Liberio Spiker, and this guy has 1800 attack and 1800 defense, and so he has a quick effect during your opponent's main phase. He can shuffle a level 5 or higher UA from your hand into your deck and then bring one out. So let's say like your opponent holds Fenrir. They might just Fenrir this because they really don't know what this deck does, but let's say they do. They hold Fenrir for whatever he brings out. He's going to bring out an Omni Negate on your opponent's turn, or he's going to bring out a skill drain that Fenrir can't do anything about, which is broken. So it makes this card super nuts in this deck because you're getting turn 1 plays. I mean, you're getting turn 0 plays. It's like you're playing Tournament and you just resolve Kelbeck off of like a Merly or something like that. You know, it's just like that broken to me. So summoning Libero Spiker is the craziest interaction this deck has to turn 0, because he's a busted hand trap. Like, he can summon out a pop, he can summon out a negate, he can summon out like a monster negate or straight up Omni Negate. He can also summon a blanket skill drain. He can extend even further too by bringing out Rebounder and going Rebounder to bring another guy out, just so that your field is just insane. The other thing too is like their effects are crazy for follow-up, because they keep bouncing themselves to keep summoning other guys, and you're just tagging them out. So like economically, you break even until you have Field Spell looped, and once you have Field Spell looped, it's insane, because you actually get really, really big pluses. You can normal summon twice every turn, and just eventually you get to the point where you rotate every UA monster every single turn, and you just go attack, pop, extend, special, negate, pop, negate, and Sometimes you're using Ace as just literally a level 5 material to get the Therion because he can't negate on your turn. So you're just using him as like a card to trade to get it to an actual negate on your turn so that you can just clear fields. So the UA cards are crazy, and I think Gizmek in this format specifically, because Cash like has Earths, I think this is, and Trap Tricks too. Trap Tricks is super popular right now. Trap Tricks is insanely popular. So I think for those reasons, I believe that this hand trap is insane in this deck. It's also really insane in a lot of decks. Like, this card is so slept on. Like, you guys would not believe that nobody plays it. Literally, it is my favorite hand trap right now. It is my favorite hand trap this format. It defines how you build your deck, and not every deck can play it. But I feel like any deck that can play it should play it. They absolutely have to. So, yeah. Moving past that, Gizmek is just insane. We already know. Like, cards broken. Even if you're summoning from your own main deck, going second, playing into a board, this card is still absolutely nuts because it can just literally bring out Spiker. You can do a bunch of other stuff with it, but I mainly use it to bring out Spiker most of the time, unless I don't have the luxury to. But also, it's a level 7 for Big Eye, which is crazy because Big Eye's broke. My other favorite engine that I've been loving so much in Warrior decks is a very small Mikanko package, whether you're going first or second. But the way I'm using it is to have the options to be able to bounce one of my opponent's threats, while also at the same time I want to be able to end on an interruption if I can't kill them, or just finish picking the board apart with Rondo. So it's like you search either Rondo or Dance off of the Mikanko Hari, and this card is actually nice too because it is a fire, it's a warrior, and has 0 attack and 0 defense. So, again, synergy. But this card's nasty, and the way the combo works, my combo is actually crazy with this deck because you play all these high level, like these level 5 warrior monsters. So what you do is you actually go Assault to dump 1. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to go Assault, dump the, what's it called? Dump the Mikanko Equip Spell or whatever it's called. I'm trying to think, what is it called? How do I pronounce this? Arabosk or whatever. And then you're going to summon out this guy. He's going to use his effect to add Feast of the Wild level 5 from your deck to your hand, which literally means the level 5s you use for this Assault are not only free, but they're going to make a Therion Regulus, worst case. Or they're going to go into the DDD package and just make like a fat inboard or a bigger Zeus. That's minimum. Then you're going to still tribute him and summon a level 8 warrior monster from your hand. That's minimum. See, now the other thing that makes this more insane is the Durindal, how it's searchable. Because in the middle of the combo, you're not only getting the Mikanko stuff and you're doing that play, but you're literally just going Durindal for this bad boy right here, and then you're using him to discard, target the warrior on your field, and then just equip one of these. So it's just a bunch of ways that your cards overlap into either the Mikankos without even using Ice Hold sometimes, or if you want to do both. If you want to resolve the Battle Guard Cadet and you want to resolve the Bradamante via Durindal, you can do both, which is super duper sick, and I like it a lot. So the combo is just ridiculous. Like, honestly, it's super duper crazy. And this card, it's too much, bro. It's way too much. Yeah, it's way too much. So I like this card a lot. I actually like this. Him being a level 1 is just super easy to access. And him being a tuner means you can do more with it if you want to. But I'm just doing this just to be able to go Durindal into Bradamant into the Mikanko engine. So it means, like, let's say I'm playing just pure Infernobles, I can pretty much always go into the Mikanko engine. And this is a Fire Warrior. So it just makes dummy sense. It's insane. It's so crazy. You can also play Renowned too, but I really like summoning this guy a lot of the times. And you're never summoning him anyways. Like, you're literally just summoning this guy like most of the time. I like him a lot. He's super duper cool. He's crazy. Next, we're actually going to move past these little packages. So the Therion cards are here because Bullain is a warrior extender. So it makes this Coliseum and also Terraforming into not only an extender but a going first, not only an extender which is a going first card but a going second card. You guys know how I feel about multi-purpose cards. And the Regulus is also a search target for my River Stormer. So something else that's super lit, right? I'm just gonna go down here. Where's it at? Right here. So Cinco the Skybolt. If an Earth monster is normal or special summoned to your field, you can summon this guy from your hand. If he's in your grave, you can banish him, target a level 5 or higher warrior monster you control, one attack position your opponent controls. Your monster loses about 1500 attack, then you pop that monster. So something else that's super duper sick with your extenders, and that's why these should be up here with the rest of the going second cards, but I have it just split up, is because Kaizen, like how he can just dump Photon Jumper and be non-engine extender / starter for like Galaxy cards, you know, and a lot of decks that can benefit from their cards being sent to the grave, even in the actual Jack Knight, like Queen's Knight, whatever kind of deck you want to call it. Like I was playing those cards and I was dumping Triumph Joker just to like summon her from grave and just go crazy. But at the same time, like you can just use him and then you can dump Cinco the Skybolt, use his effect in grave and just pop. So it's just free real estate. It's crazy. So these cards are so flexible, and he's also a level 5. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Cards are super duper nice. He's a level 5 and he's an Earth Warrior. So yeah, these cards are really, really, really nice. And setting up your graveyard is not half bad for your UA stuff. So I just love these cards, like how they overlap into each other, and they're just so fun to use. Honestly, it's one of my favorite. Like this is one of my favorite rogue like strategies and approaches. Is just using these weird cards in a lot of the decks that actually can be like when you see these cards, you're like, bro, I want to play this in the deck, but I want it to be good in the deck that I played in. And fortunately, it is good. Like, it's actually good in the deck that I'm playing it in. So these weird cards are actually good. Whereas when you look at them on pen and paper, just as standalone cards, you'd be like, nah, I just don't see it. But when you just apply all the logic of how the things work together and how they're not just going first cards but going second cards, and you just put in the work to build the list, you'll end up seeing some crazy synergies that just didn't seem to exist in your mind at first. And that's what I ended up running into. I was like, bro, there's a lot of synergy with these cards. Like, this is like a Warrior Turbo deck that doesn't even end on regular Warrior boards. It's just taking advantage of the Warrior toolbox to be able to just bridge into a whole bunch of different engines, extenders, interruptions for your inboard, and negations for protecting your board, which is crazy. The UA stuff, though, these are all just straight up starters. So like Foolish Burial Goods can also dump Slash, and that can add Silent Swordsman, so that's a negation. That also helps you to play through interruptions going second. And going first, the card is just really, really nice. And you also going second, he's ridiculous because he actually just summons level 7. So if you guys did not know, so let me get him right here. Boom. If he's destroyed by an opponent's card effect or by battle, he just summons a Silent Swordsman monster from your hand or deck, ignoring the summoning conditions. So going second, when you apply pressure and you're just going boom, 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 you're using your UAs to clear cards. You're just using all of your engine to crack the board as much as you can. If they're on branded, just let's say branded, best case. You crash Silent Swordsman, summon out level 7, spell cards are negated now. It hurts them more than it hurts you. Card's literally nuts. And because he's level 7, you could turn him off. Why? Big Eye. Why? Assault. And you could turn him off in a way where it benefits you. You're not just making a random Link monster just because. This deck is so cool. So yeah, Goods can dump that. And this isn't bad if you already have the Silent Swordsman, because it's actually like a crazy going second card. But you can also dump Penalty Box and then use Penalty Box to add any UA spell or trap. So you can add the field spells. And then if you don't need the field spells, if you need more draw power, if you haven't seen enough non-engine, you add Locker Room. This also helps you to dodge cards like Imperm and Veiler and just gives you recovery and a crazy draw. But also, Turnover Tactics is a card that is non-destruction, non-targeting removal to reset a whole board. And when you Turnover Tactics on your opponent's turn, you can Turnover Tactics and summon Perfect Ace. You can summon, like, bro... This is like, let me just read this card to you so you guys can see that it's not a crazy idea. Because people will read this card and be like, I don't want my opponent to summon monsters from their deck. It's like when you're summoning, okay, like let me slow down because I'm really excited. You control two or more UA monsters with different names. Shuffle as many monsters on the field as possible into the deck. Special UAs from your deck that have different names for each other up to the number of cards shuffle into your deck. So if you shuffle 2, you're going to bring out 2. Minimum. Those monsters cannot attack this turn. Your opponent can summon monsters from their deck up to the number of cards you shuffled into their main deck. You see the key word where it says main deck? That means if I turn over tactics a bunch of XYZs and fusions and link monsters, they don't special jack squat. They don't special anything. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt and let's say, hey, they had 2 random cash tier monsters. Best case, they summon Unicorn Fenrir. You know what's going to happen to the Unicorn Fenrir when they come out of the deck via tactics? They're going to get negated by cards like Blocker, Play Manager, and Ace. If you do this on your opponent's turn, you can have Ace and Blocker, so the cards automatically come out negated, which is ridiculous. And if your opponent tries to chain something, you can just perfect Ace them. And the other thing is like Play Manager. Like if you go for Play Manager in Ace, it's more insane because you can just negate what matters and then use him to just like pop a card, for example like Birth, so that they don't have follow up and they can't just like literally just crack back off of just Birth into Unicorn into spell and just go off and make the whole board again. It's ridiculous. It's actually crazy how broken this card is because the context of it gets overlooked. You shuffle into the main deck, they can actually summon, but it doesn't matter because the monsters that you summon, literally when they're summoned, they get changed to defense and their effects are negated. Off the rip. Guess what? The cash tier of monsters from the main deck can actually negate. So they're going to have their effects negated. Bro, it's just freaking crazy. It's so good. Like, this card's so good. It really is. And I was talking about Fool's Real Goods and I got stuck on this card because this card's so good. However, as situational as it is, I feel like it's that searchable one-of that really just helps you to turn the tables. Again, turnover tactics. So Goods just lets you get into extenders. It lets you get into a pseudo, we'll just call it a pseudo Naturia Beast. It also lets you see your entire UA engine. Goods also outs any board as long as they don't have Ash, which is broken when you think of it. Because your engine is, with or without UA monsters, you're going to get UA monsters. But then we have Hyper Stadium. This card's crazy. This card's absolutely ridiculous. Crazy card. E-Telly, the card, like a normal E-Telly. You don't have to control anything specific. You just summon it. Boom. Can be used for XYZ material. Boo-hoo. You're going to link with it. Or just leave it. UA Stadium. And also keep in mind, you can just bounce it to your hand with one of your UAs and then actually use that monster to bounce the other UA you use for it back to put it back on the field, and then you can XYZ with it. So you can go River Stormer consistently to get Therion Regulus. Player Manager is crazy too. He's an extender, which is something the deck really needed. This deck needed Libero Spiker in him really badly. And popping a card on the field without having to throw your battle phase, and also being able to chain block and pop, chain block and negate is just ridiculous. It's absolutely insane because when you chain block and negate, it means, let's say your opponent puts out negations off of turnover tactics. Just miraculously they do, right? This card can be chain link 1 to negate all face-up monsters on the field. So they can't really negate this unless they have like Imperm Veiler or something like that. Card is ridiculous, going first and going second. And when you open this card in your hand and you have the Gizmek play to go into Libero Spiker, it's just like almost like an FTK. It's like multi-faker Imperm. It's like resolving freaking it's like resolving not Merle but Havness. Because you go Libero Spiker and then you can use him to go into a card like Perfect Ace, right? And then you can just summon Player Manager and just negate or pop. This deck is actually really, really cool. Regular Stadium's not once per turn. You just add UA monsters every time you normal summon. And then when you special summon, all monsters you control gain 500 permanently. And these are, like, this is soft once per turn for the effect to search. I mean, for the effect to boost. So, like, you can play another one and just keep boosting. But the effect that's not once per turn is when you normal summon. And you can get double normal summons in this deck. So Stadium pluses you a lot, and it just helps to get pressure. It's like you're summoning freaking huge Like Dunker at 3K with Jersey is one of the most crispy plays I used to do back in 2018, bro. I was playing Sky Striker UAs and I was OTKing people and just breaking their boards with just regular UAs and like 3 Widow Anchors and 3 Engage, bro. So yeah, Terraforming, it lets you access the Therion cards or the UA starters. Rhoda, same thing. And then Spiker. All the UAs have inherent summons to return a UA monster you control to the hand, to summon them from the hand. And every time you do that, the monster you bounce, if it hadn't been summoned that way, you can also do it that way. So you can just literally use their effects and then they just run away. It's like playing Yosinju's, kind of. Liberal Spiker, however, allows you to extend further because during your opponent's turn, you can actually bring one out from your deck. So he's insane. He's really, really insane. As well as Player Manager. These cards give this deck so much that it needed. Because it was like, okay, perfect ace blockbacker. That's all you had when your turn 1 board was literally that, and that was it. Now it's just bonkers. So what this guy does, what he does is basically just, he's the normal summon that you really needed for the deck. Before we had just literally him, so you had to like sometimes resolve Signing Deal to be able to play, because you need a UA on field for you to start playing your engine. But his other effect is actually crazy too. During your player's turn, target UA monster you control, return it to the hand, and then check this out. Special summon a UA monster from your hand with a different name. Busted, right? So imagine how much you can do if you open enough UA cards just off of resolving this on a Fenrir. You can extend it to like a full board on your opponent's turn. Spiker, midfielder, into this bad boy. And if you had him in hand, it's just ridiculous because you're just going pop, negate. You're starting with 4 cards. I mean, you're starting with 4 monsters that all do stuff. They're all threats. They're all Earth Warriors. Their effects can be chain blocked. Yeah, crazy. Blockbacker is basically like a lose 1 turn when you think of it. And Dunker, he just pops when he does damage. He attacks, he does piercing. Rebounder's an extender and a recovery card he summons from hand or grave. I'm explaining them because nobody really knows what these cards do. UA Locker Room's broke. Target a UA or a FA monster you control in your grave, add it to your hand, gain 500 life points. I win in time. Not saying literally that's what it's for, but like this deck could not win in time to save its life, especially because of Signing Deal. Before you had to resolve this card because you had literally just 3 midfielders. So now this deck can actually win in time if it ever comes down to it. Reveal any number of UA or FA monsters in your hand and then shuffle them into the deck and draw that many cards. So when you activate this card, it already gives you an extra target in your hand for free, which is crazy. On top of that, it lets you dodge targeting effects, negations, and it plays around skill drain. So if you go effective play manager, or even Dreadnought Dunker to actually declare their effects to target something and pop it, and your opponent has skill drain up, you can just chain Locker Room. It will leave the field, and it will resolve because skill drain is no longer negating it. So there's some really, really cool interactions with this. And just having like your own little advent, like how the Flus have advent. This is like your advent, but it's different. Turnover is broken. This card's crazy. 1,000+ attack. Banish any monster it kills. It attacks again. It re-equips itself. Really, really ridiculous. Penalty box, I only use it for its graveyard effect. It's okay though. Kaiza the Hidden Star. This card is ridiculous. So you tribute a lighter Earth Warrior monster to summon him from your hand. He gains attack equal to the monster's original attack, the tributed one. So he gets pretty beefy. You can only summon him this way once per turn. He's a level 5 also. He's a level 5 warrior extender that foolish burials any light or earth, bro. This card is a hidden gem. I cannot believe I didn't know about this before. I don't know why people are not playing this, but this card is ridiculous. There's so many good cards he can dump. He is literally foolish burial for a earth or a light warrior monster. Period, poo. Just bro. Like bro, I'm telling you, I was researching cards just to make his effect better. There's a lot of stuff you could do with them, but I wanted to keep it really, really, really simple, clear cut and concise. Most of the time, you're just using him to go straight into Cinco the Skybolt. And you're just using Cinco to be... You're basically using him to be an extender that also pops cards. So he's both an extender and a going second card. Just like how Bull is. Just like how this is an extender and a going second card. A lot of your UAs are extenders and going second cards. They just clear fields. It's just ridiculous. You can even pass with a normal summoned UA with enough cards in hand. And you can get Expulsion locked in the Brandon matchup, and you can still play on their turn with your quick effects to play on their turn, and you can still tactics them too, which is insane. Silent Swordsman, you just summon him by tributing a warrior monster that you control. Soft once per turn, he negates a spell card. So, he also gains 500 attack, when he's summoned this way. I'm reading these effects because people do not know what these cards do. So, he's like a pseudo extender. He's a light warrior, which is a big deal for me. He's a quick effect to negate too. But when you crash him, or he dies by your opponent's card effect, he summons out literally Naturia Beast for the warrior archetype. Like, the card's literally just Nat Beast for warriors. No spells. So this deck has some degenerate win conditions. I tend to always find a way to give my rogue decks a degenerate win condition. You've got the Makonko stuff, you've got a bounce, you've got a snatch steal, you've got negates, you've got pops, you've got takes, you've got more negates, you got more pops, you've got more just bounces. You've got like a reset the entire board, more pops, and all the cards that do that, take, equip, all the cards that do that can just benefit your engine in one way or another. This card's crazy too. He's a level 7 light warrior extender, bro. Like, the earth and the light theme that I have with this deck is for a reason, because I wanted certain cards to work, and this card is creamy. It really is. Because you could just have them as an XYZ material, and it's still relevant. Like, this card is really, really sick with it, bro. I like this card a lot. I already told you what this is for. It's for goods, and then also for, like, this little package. So, if you guys don't know what this does, target a Silent Swordsman. It gains 1500 attack and defense, right? So the end of this turn is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. So this guy is now at 4300 unaffected, and then this card's activation and effect cannot be negated. So ridiculous, absolutely insane. There's nothing you can do about it. This is like you're not gonna negate my negator. You can't play. So keyword, you see how this card's activation and effects cannot be negated? Negate all spell cards on the field. It can't be negated, not even by the actual monster that it belongs to, which is clever in the design that they had for this card. And then Gearfried for I Sold follow-up. Just crackback, huge pressure. Again, I love that synergy with Gearfried and crossover. That is what originally had me build this deck. I wanted to play a Gearfried deck with crossover and the Makonko cards and just play a bunch of equips and Fire Warriors. Then I ended up just building this UA deck. It just happened. Honorable mentions, the Spiral stuff, the Photon cards. Thunder Speed Summon with the Joker trap so you can spear mode your opponents on their turn. Royal Straight, like the actual whole Junker slash King and Queen Knight engine. The Code Breaker 0 Day is not really necessary. I have too many warriors. And then this guy's really, really dope. He's a level 5 and he's a light and he's a warrior. And he just banishes non-targeting when he's normal summon. And then he also can search for a Dark Dragon, Dark Machine, or a water warrior monster. So he's kind of cool too, because he searches some hand traps. Oh yeah, I gotta call her back after this. And then we're on Double I Sold. Double I Sold for this list just makes perfect sense to me. This is the only card in the extra deck that I actually care about, so this is the one that I'm worried about getting banished. That and Zeus. Everything else can be banished, is fine. IP, just have more interaction. Unicorn and Phoenix, I blind second with this deck. This card is super duper dope too. I freaking love this card. He's crazy. A generic that can be a warrior too. Bro. He's so saucy. Access code, Appaloosa, Dugaris. If I can play only one rank 4 in a deck, I always pick Dugaris, especially in a blind second deck. He just does so much. This card is so nice with it. So nice. Marksman King Tell is my one of my first rank 5s of choice that I thought about. It's like a generic rank 5. What can this do? It can make a huge Zeus? Nah, we don't want to do that because we can just make Gaia Charger if that was the case. I want a rank 5 that can be an interruption when I already have Therion stuff, right? So if I already have Regulus, then I want another rank 5 that can be an interruption that's not like a weird card like Artifact Durandal. I like this. I like this a lot. This card in itself is a powerhouse. It's super busted. It's crazy. So you literally just stack him on top of Marksman King Tell. He's ridiculous. River Stormer. at the Earth Machine. That's literally all it's here for. Like, it's a generic too. These cards being generic, these are like my favorite generic rank 5s for this deck, because they give you access to cards that really, really reinforce your inboard, allow you to have better interruptions without you having to like play the archetypes they belong to. Like, you could easily end on, you know, for example, Durandal, but it's not going to be the same as River Stormer. It's not. You can make like a traditional Volcasaurus into Gaia Charger and then end on Zeus. It's not going to be the same, because you can just hard summon him, right? You can hard summon him over a rank 5, and on your turn as you're comboing, now this card is going to protect you. So you use this in the middle of you using your combo, and it's like a pseudo kind of cross out, a pseudo kind of Appaloosa. It's crazy because they have to respond to this card. And then whenever you want to, you can still Zeus. Big Eye. If I have to pick one rank 7, unless I was playing the Brave Engine, it would be Dracosac. But it's Big Eye. It's absolutely 1000% Big Eye. This card's nuts. And double Zeus. I'm blind seconding, bro. I got to. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Shout outs to all you UA players. God bless you. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. Never let the sauce die. Peace.